Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this episode. In this episode, things got a little bit heated because we went down the rabbit hole of talking about feminism, the manosphere, which Israel still laughs at because for some reason it's a funny thing for him and Michael. But anyway, we had so much fun talking about this. We want to know what you think. It's a really tricky subject, really delicate topic, but we think it's a commercial that needs to be had, especially in the world we're in right now. Let us know what you think. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Let's get the conversation going.
Anyways, yeah, Samuel, what about masculinity? What is the problem with masculinity?
The idea is just to understand what masculinity is to each person.
That is
just means a babe.
That is such an existential question. Wait, why do you feel like I need a babe from masculinity? How did babe enter masculinity?
When he rolled his eyes, it was like there has to be an end. The only way this question makes sense of it to answer is if at the end of it they will present me with a nuptial.
Oh no. I mean, I'm just like, yeah, it's.
I think that's a conversation that we should dig into because this your reaction, for example, is what we need.
Okay, so today's one is kind of a bit deeper. Like I have been thinking about this for for a while, and I'll give you a quick glimpse into how my thought process has been coming together. So first, it's like growing up, right? Depending on what space you are in, you have role models. You have people that you look up to, people that like you look at and stuff like that. And then as you grow, you start seeing the flaws in some of the things they've taught you or the things they've especially because of the fact that you change locations and you saw that, okay, this rule did not exactly apply in this space and things like that. And so as you move on, you start seeing that like the heroes that you've always grown up around, they don't have what's the word? They don't have some form of
they are not heroes after all.
Like they're just flaws to them that you notice as you grow older, right? Yeah, something like that. And so it then brings you to the point where you're just asking, okay, like what makes an hero? Is it A or an? I don't even know at this point.
What makes someone the hero? Yeah. Just be safe.
What makes someone the hero? But then it then got me thinking a lot more about like other questions, and I landed on the conclusion like I think where I landed was like who is the man? Like what is masculinity to?
Who is a man? That's such
American politics question.
Exactly. Do you get what is a woman? So who is a man?
But let me see. Yeah, Michael.
We talked about this recently, right, Samuel? Because I shared a link with you, a Twitter thread where
marriage.
Yeah. So the thread basically Israel. Should we share the thread? I think we could do that. I think that could be an interesting episode. Samuel, let me see if I can find the thread here. So this is where we are right now, and this is what I shared. I think it'll be good to cover.
I mean, Royal chat.
I was about to say, bro.
Is there okay?
Nothing there to
allow. Strange that the three podcast prints Ferris, Uberman, Friedman, who millions of young men. I'm just reading it for those that are probably listening to on audio.
That's fine.
Millions of young men turn to for advice on how to live and think are all single and childless past the age of 40, right? Those are some very interesting adjectives.
That's what happens when they refuse to do long distance.
So if you've not listened to the last episode, you wouldn't get this joke. So go listen to the last episode. Anyways, so what we have here is a secular priesthood, okay, preaching gospel to a generation of men hungry for guidance. So someone replied to that original post that I just read, and yet incapable of fulfilling the most basic biological civilizational imperative.
Wait. Don't interrupt yourself and then read it. So say what you need to say and then read it so it's a train of thought. So I didn't get confused.
I don't get.
Like, so the person you're reading a comment right now, a response to the initial.
Oh yeah, I'm recording a response right now. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can read it now and just read it now.
Oh, so the response is what we have here is a secular priesthood preaching gospel to a generation of men hungry for guidance yet incapable of fulfilling the most basic biological or civilizational imperative, which is the creation of a family. That's the most basic biological and civilizational imperative. Then Tim Ferriss' column. The productivity hacker turned self-experimenting monk, Andrew Oberman, the neuroscience demigod, whose dopamine maps rarely intersect with intimacy or fatherhood. Lex Friedman, the interesting. These are interesting adjectives. The emotionless black cloud pod priest who flirts with sentimentality but recoils at generativity.
That was how I felt.
These aren't men with families. They are called leaders of sterile optimization. Their mantra: act your life, not live your life. You want to know what they are really selling? Surrogate masculinity or from duty, generational continuity, or even real world consequences. What they offer is a holo that word masculinity, dopamine schedules, journaling, blah blah blah. And millions of young men starved of fathers swallow it all. We are the podcast about building families, holding down difficult situations, sacrificing for children, standing up for tradition. The algorithm doesn't reward those. It rewards sleek, postmodern celibacy dressed as enlightenment. Those people are not countercultural sages. They are the ideal product of a dying civilization, libidinally spent, more like their libido is spent, spiritually castrated, generationally irrelevant. And what does this say about us? That we've enthroned them as our guides. I would call this the ultimate psyop, a priesthood of hyper individualistic eunuchs, preaching salvation through narcissistic self improvement, leading us away from real rooted life into the infinite loop of personal branding, quantified selfhood, and high performance, but not legacy. Let that sink in. Do you want to follow men? Let me finish my reading now. Who optimize tested? I can't pronounce this one. I always have problem pronouncing it. Testosterone, or men who use it to be the future. Nailed it. As a single childless over 40 a retard, a good number
Are you
of us
optimizing
feel.
your testosterone?
I think this also kind of aligns with something like that Israel was talking about in some ways. Go back up. Like
Yeah.
in the previous episode where we spoke about having a family, and we're saying that the society has changed in a way in terms of what long-term commitment look like. We spoke about that briefly. It wasn't that deep, but
I mean,
kind of.
I think ultimately a lot of all these things have. So obviously, number one is like we said it in the last event. We probably said it multiple times. The Western world is very now more individualistic, and it's so that, and I will tell you why a lot of boys are flocking towards men like this. I think there's an ever growing, which is probably why I also have a problem like finding a partner or something. Like it's not like it's a me problem. I think it's also a general problem. I think there's this ever. It's also one of the topics that I added to for us to discuss. There's an ever growing distance between the male and the female genders now, right? In terms of how we see life, in terms of like what we see. There was this study that was conducted that more men are now becoming more conservative in terms of like political ideologies. And it's because of men like this, right? And women are becoming more liberal, right? Because sure, like there's like freedom and all those kind of things, right? So I think now there's that whole separation that is already happening, right? Because and I think it's also there was this thing that I don't know what I was listening to. Maybe it was like Jordan Peterson or something, but I was listening to, and there was like, now I think somebody was asking me about this same question, and it was more like, I think we've come to a problem. It's also based on your question, like what does masculinity mean? There are a lot of thoughts that are going on in my mind, so you might have to ask me something. We've come to a point where men don't know what to do with themselves. Like it used to be clear cut what it means to be a
No.
man.
Well, okay.
It
Never
used
mind.
to
To your
be
point.
because we
Yeah, I
had
do.
roles. Do you get? There were roles, right? And everybody conformed to their roles. Like everybody was doing their roles. Someone was at home taking care of the family, like doing that, and the man was going out making the money, feeding the family, and everybody had their own roles. So as a man, you know that what your role is now is to provide for the family, to provide food for the family, to provide shelter for the family, to provide security for the family. And the woman at home is supposed to nurture the family, to take care of the children. And that's that there, whether you think that's a good system or a bad system, it was a
It was
system that
working.
everybody understood, right?
Yes.
And everybody understood their place. But
Yes.
now nobody knows what their place is. Everybody is jumping into everybody's space, and there's no clear cut or like, oh, there's not anarchy in terms of like systems, in terms of rules. Whether that is good or not, that is another discussion. But I think because of that whole separation of like, and also nobody knows what to do, men like listening to men like this who are just telling you like, and it's the same thing that you probably hear on the female podcast. It's like self-optimize, all those kind of things. So
Centralizing
now
men.
we've preached. What is trending now, because which is where we've gotten now, is like, look inward, don't care about what other people do, use women for sexual pleasure, and use each other for sexual pleasure. As long as you get pleasure from it, that is the end of it. You listen to some of these popular YouTubers, and it's like, oh, you just sleeping with women, and it's just like, so that is what the world has come to. And I think, what does it mean to be a man in 21st century? I don't think anybody knows. And I think that's also one of the reasons why men, especially young men now, are lost. I think that's probably the way to think. Like, they are lost in this world because they don't know what to make of themselves, right? They don't know what to do with their lives, right?
I
Women
think
and men are competing for the same jobs. But yeah, I think I should just stop at this one
so.
and let you
I was
guys.
gonna say,
Yeah.
Before you to respond, Samuel, I want us to bring somebody else into the conversation, because I feel like he kind of stands out, and
Yeah.
that would be Ali Abdal. Ali Abdal is also a podcaster
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
happens to actually just got married recently
Mm-hmm.
and has millions of followers as well. He's
Yeah.
not particularly tailored towards men, so I would
Yeah.
want to, maybe we can talk about, maybe that's why his own is different.
Yeah.
Like, maybe, for example, he's not regarded in this, and he has, I think, 3 million subscribers or something,
Yeah.
or 5 million. But yeah, I just wanted to bring that as an
I
example
think
of
I think Ali
what the,
just talks mostly about general productivity. Do you get?
yes.
He doesn't really touch
as
about
opposed
it,
to what, like
as opposed to
being a
like,
man.
exactly,
So
that's the thing, right? He doesn't. His selling points are like being a man. It's like how to be productive, whether
Yeah,
you're a man or a woman or what. As
yeah, maybe that's it. But yeah, Samuel.
So, you've raised really good points, Israel, on some of the things you said, and I think when Israel, Michael and I spoke about this, there are a couple of questions that I had first. My first question was why. Like, the question should not be that these guys are selling something. The conversation should not be about what they are selling. It should be about why they are making so much sales. Like, why are people buying these products, right?
I think, which is one of these things that I've probably alluded, but continue, please.
Yes, you did, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, why are men going for this? And you rightfully said it, where you said that men nowadays don't know what to do with themselves, because that's really why they are doing this. Because they look at it, and I explained this to Michael. I had a different perspective to this, and I was talking to Michael about that. The idea of masculinity in a different age, and you also alluded to this, in the age you are coming from, it's changed, right? Like before, like what all you described was what a man would typically be. And this is even removing the extremes. We're not talking about the
Mm-hmm.
extremes now. We're talking about what you expect from a guy when he comes
Yeah.
home, right? You expect him to go out, take care of his family, make sure that the family is fed. Like
Mm-hmm.
I think the Bible even makes a kind of I don't know if it was specifically towards a man, but the Bible did say that a man, someone who cannot take care of his family, is worse than an infidel.
Yeah.
Just so
Yeah.
I can. I'm not sure if it
It's
was
a
a man.
man. It's a man. It's a man.
It
It's a
was a man,
man.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like that, those we have those things where it's like, okay, the man's responsibility is to take care of the family, but those constraints came within the expectations or the support that the society gave men at the time, right? The support and the lack of support. So, for example, we
Mm-hmm.
didn't have a lot of mental health care for men, and so men were not expected to cry because we didn't have a lot of men showing emotion. So there was no. It was a problem, but it wasn't a popular problem as opposed to a man getting a promotion at work over the woman because he has a family to feed, and the woman is not supposed to. Woman is going back to her husband. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. So it's like, even though they were not right, they were extremes in themselves. But now the world is changing. Like you said, women are becoming more liberal. Women are getting way more opportunities than men, or they're getting opportunities than men. They are like, it's for men versus women. It's no longer a thing of economic stability, because in a way both sides are getting it. So it's like, okay, the man's goal of saying, okay, I need to be able to lead my house or like provide for my house, that has changed. Because now the economy is not helping anybody, because we are both getting messed up by the economy, right? That's one side. Then there's the value added part of it, in terms of, let me say, the expectations that comes from being a man, aside the finances, right? And I just keep asking myself, is like, and what I told Michael when I had this question was that, if I look at the men that have come before me, do you want like, if I look at the men that have come, that like have been in the previous generation, I don't see them as my models. So there is a very high demand for a form of role model for what a man should look like. And so what do men do? We've considered the family option, it's not working, right? The women we are probably looking to, they don't want us. And so what do? They go for a place where we're like, okay, everyone has given up on me, I can at least focus on myself. So what do? They go for
Yeah,
the extreme
I
productivity
think
aspect.
that's the thing, right? I think before I forget about this point too, which I probably mentioned a little bit about in the last episode, which is like, I think expectations nowadays are different, and it's also like people don't live in reality, either male or female. So here's the big question: we had this old transition of where only the man's income was enough to provide for the family. But in the last couple of years, the question is, especially this is more to the girls because this is basically it, right? I don't know, but like both three of us that are here, how many of us came from a family where it was only your dad that was bringing money to the table and your mom wasn't working? I don't think any of us came from that.
I mean, I
And I
had
think
that
it's
stage,
also
but
like,
not anymore.
yeah, but not anymore. But because the way the economy is now, to be honest, it takes two incomes to probably survive and
Four.
live a good life. Do you get? Or like more incomes, right?
Barely survive.
To barely survive. Legit, like, because you see household income, they're like, oh, the household income is like 70 something. I'm like, how does a household survive on
Also,
70
two
something?
people.
I can't even survive on, I'm making more, double that, and I'm barely getting by. Do you get? And you have to, now I'm living in one bedroom apartment. If you're a household, you need to get like a two bed, and then you have kids, you have childcare, you need to get a car because now you have kids. And it's like, how are people surviving this? And when our generation's women are like, oh, you want a man that is going to be able to provide for everything in terms of like financial, it's like, that is not reality. You can live in La La Land and hope that that is going to work, but that isn't
Well,
reality,
wait. It
right?
depends on it depends on the context, though.
Okay, tell me more.
So I would say that they are they are living in La La Land. Like, the expectation is not wrong. It's where they are having that expectation, where they are directing it towards. That's what is
Okay,
wrong.
also,
So you are if they want the man that can take care of them, then you'd
yeah,
have to go for the less conventional men in some ways. You have to go for the men that are older,
exactly.
that have
That
done
is
things.
also, that's also something. It's like, if you're looking for a man that is going to do that, you are not looking for a liberal man. You're not looking for a woman that believes in equal right. Do you get?
Mhm.
You're not. You're probably
And I
not.
actually
You're probably not looking for that kind of man. And I
Mhm.
think it's this difference in expectations where you're like looking for a somebody that's going to give you 100%, but is also going to respect uh equal, like whatever that, like, you know what I mean by that, right?
Mhm.
It's hard to find a man that is going to give you both of those things. Do you get? And it's also now men are like, oh, I'm working with the same woman. We are doing the same job. We are both software engineers, making the same money, and
You
this
want to
woman
keep your
still
own
expect
ones.
me to still do all these things.
Yeah.
And they're like, what do I want to do? And it's also like, you're working at the warehouse, right? And you're making like $40,000, and you can't get any woman to talk to you because you don't make enough. And obviously, then just trying to tie it back to where we started from. And then you obviously have to listen to men that are telling you that now don't spend money on women.
Go
What
to
you
the
need to do
gym.
now
Do it
is to
yourself.
optimize yourself, make sure
Yes.
you make more money so that you can live the life that you want. Because that's what people, that's the only way out at this point. Because it's like
Mm-hmm.
things are not working for you in the real life, right? It's like,
Mm-hmm.
for example, I can as well say now that I don't have a girl, like fuck all that shit. Like, let's all just, now it's time to start optimizing, which and I actually also do that sometimes.
So one of the things I was telling Samuel is that for me, I don't listen to these podcasts, so it's hard for
Yeah,
me to make an informed decision. I mean, comments,
yeah,
but I don't even understand like the POV that you shared, for example, about the fact that before men knew that their job as like to provide and
yeah.
everything, and now that is changing.
Mm.
I don't know if I'm particularly different in that regard, but I, for example, don't feel that. I don't feel that. I don't first of all
Feel
feel
what?
that need. Then I don't also feel that anything is changing. Maybe it's because I've
What?
not
What?
been.
What don't you feel?
Maybe because I've not been family centric. Like
Okay.
I don't feel, for example, that men feel like they have to like this sole provider kind of
Yeah,
thing, and
yeah,
then now that is changing, it's affecting how they view themselves.
yeah.
I don't I don't see that. Maybe it's because I don't view myself often as a husband or like as
Mm-hmm.
a father. Did you get
Mm.
it? Father and his own father. Did you get it? So it's like it could.
But
I view
so
myself
here's what
more
I
as
think about it.
yeah,
I think you also already grew up in that world where, like, you grew up in the world where things already started moving from like a man is supposed to be a sole provider, right?
yeah, but like that word is like is not recent though. Like for example, you said that even our parents are now
It's not a it's a
like. So do you for example feel lost in the sense that you don't
no,
know where you're.
I don't feel lost.
So
That's
these
the thing,
men
right?
that do it, because these men that feel lost, where does it
Yeah.
come from? Given the fact that they are even in a world that moved on earlier than we moved on. Like Africa is still like has not yet moved on that
Yeah.
way. Most of these people are in the West, they've
Yeah.
moved on. So where does that come from? I don't know. That's the question that I have. That's the first thing. Then the second thing I was asking somewhere is if he knows what this podcast like, because I see what these people talk about now, all this optimization, which I don't think is. Again, I don't listen to this podcast. I don't think the optimization thing is a bad thing, which is why
Yeah.
I mentioned Ali Abdal because I keep wondering when people say, "Oh, that you need to know how to be a man and everything," like
Yeah.
what are we looking like what is being sought after
What do you
like
exactly what do you
like
achieve and you say now
so
I'm
you
a
say
man?
how to be a man, then it is financial advice.
Yeah.
Give
Okay.
Yeah.
everybody have financial advice. How to be a man, then it is career advice, it is
Mm-hmm.
locking in. Shouldn't
Yeah.
like that's general, that looks like personal finance advice, life
Yeah.
advice, you get it. So it's like what exactly is it that maybe they are looking for, that they think, oh, I can't get this from a Ali Abda or somebody who is even rare. Because that's the only person I can mention, for example, that is a male
Mm.
podcaster and has family and everything.
Mm.
I can't get this from this person. I have to get it from a what these people call male podcast guru.
Yeah.
Like I get the likes of maybe James and Fuad who are just having vibes or
Yeah.
having
Yeah.
fun
Yeah.
and everything. But in terms of like life advice as a man, like I don't know how to
Okay.
explain
So
it. A part of me is lost.
let me bring you up to speed in some ways, right? There
Thank you.
are two sides to this conversation. There is what you're saying about the optimization part, right? No,
Yeah.
no, no. That's not even it. There are two parts. There's one side where the guy is talking about how there's now being a prioritization of like optimization, and a guy is focusing on himself as opposed to
Yeah.
having family centric values,
So
Yeah.
right?
that is the
There
thing.
is
That
one
is the
part.
thing, which I think you also like fall into, because I think you also
So
optimize
do you know
rather
why
than
Oh, wait.
yeah.
don't do that?
Let me
No,
finish.
no,
Let me finish my
Samuel.
thought.
This what I want to say now will probably we need a response from you. That's
Mm.
not a male thing. are you on Nigerian Twitter? Like, women are also, it's not a man thing. Like,
yeah, that was what I was saying. That is also why I'm saying that. That's what I'm saying. That it's a society. Yeah,
it doesn't require
it's a
real
society
podcast.
thing.
Do you get
No,
it? Like,
so that's the thing. It's also like it's different messages for male and female. Like obviously,
towards the same idea,
toward
right?
this, it's the same.
Like
It's the same
foundational
root
this thing.
cause. It's the same foundational problem of like
How we are pushing it differs
of like
based on our
only satisfy yourself, But
Mhm.
I mean, sometimes there's always this old, which is me probably just supporting myself being a man. There's always it's like women used to be victim, and now men are being made the victim. It's more like there's this change of like this when power is about to change. There's always extremes always come up. Do you get right? So now it's like the complaint is now like, oh, men are whether from men, it's like or from women, it's like, oh, men are now all about themselves. But it's also like women podcasts are like, oh, you're a boss lady, don't let any man do this. Like it's the same root cause and it's the same end result, right? It's just different message because what appeals to different people is different.
Wait, before you go into, I need to finish my thoughts.
Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
We're building up onto something else here. So there's the one part on the family-centric conversation, right?
Yeah.
Which is what that guy was about. But it's also the part of the manosphere, which is the conversation that we have. Like the
manosphere is too wild to even see.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's the manosphere, which is where we have like this.
Can you stop saying manosphere?
I'm not going to say because that's actually the word. It is a real
thing. Yeah,
it's a real thing, and I want you to say it. Now the message of the manosphere. When you say manosphere, I don't know if you've heard about it, but we are talking about people like Andrew Tate and people like this time we are talking about. Now Andrew Tate and like basically the manosphere, they are basically a kind of they have this central message, core message. The society, wow, that's slowed out. The society is unfair towards men. Men needs to be better. Men needs to be like stronger. Men needs to basically reconnect with their what's the word? With the way it has always been, with their old self kind of thing, right? And so you have this whole conversation around the manosphere, which is basically putting a message. So the extreme of the manosphere with how the political and the societal world is moving right now, it's creating a kind of overlap that is basically creating sides. So men are hating women, women are hating men.
Men are hating men. So that's the current state that we are in now. Like there are already sides. Yeah.
I'm surprised you don't know about this. This is
no. So I know, for example, obviously, like I mean, even from the Nigerian context alone, it's ridiculous where we are now. It's like I mean, we talked about the senator, the female.
That
happened recently, and the fact that we would still see some men, like lots of them actually supporting that, just solely because. And it's funny because we all say we hate politicians, right? But our hate, when it comes to gender, people still pick their gender. Like, you get it? So it's like all of us are already hating these people together. Like, why can't we just hate them together again and support this woman? So when it comes to this woman part, now we don't hate them. Now we hate woman.
Actually, we could just say, what do you think of the manosphere? Let's start with that. What do you guys think of the manosphere?
What is the manosphere?
So I think it would be good to know what the manosphere is to begin with.
So basically, the manosphere is, and I think
such a very funny word.
It's a very funny word, but it's actually really, really. I think there's also what they call red pill. I think red pill and manosphere are kind of used interchangeably. But the idea is basically the manosphere, according to Wikipedia, actually is a varied collection of websites, blogs, and online forums promoting masculinity, misogyny, and opposition to feminism. Right? Yes, feminism is one of the big things that manosphere is against because they kind of believe that. Anyway, and so they believe that the society is in a way like men have become victims of the society because women are now being prioritized because of feminism or something, and so a man is losing his value, which comes on to like economic value, which affects his ability to provide for the home. I don't think they even believe in emotional mental health. Yeah, but like for them, it's actually funny because masculine men are not even talking about it from a point of like family. They're talking about it from a point of like women, how you can use them, how you can get them, how you can possess them, like possession and stuff, like having a bunch of them. And so you have that. So they basically paint a picture of men being victims, and you guys are laughing, but this is serious. It's ruining men's life.
You even said having a bunch of them, like a bunch of.
Yeah, that was the funny thing. Yeah, a bunch of them.
That is actually what it is. Like having a bunch of women, how to get women. Israel, I don't know if you remember, there was a particular video of a guy that we saw who claims that he's a coach, and then it was on a call with this guy, and this guy was talking. This guy was.
Oh, I know the guy you're talking about.
And then he was giving this guy tips. He was like, "Oh, how much? Go get a surgery or something like that." Like,
yeah.
This is a young guy. He cannot be anything above 25. And he's telling this young guy that he needs to act up, he needs to go do surgery, he needs to correct his face, he needs to fix the guy just so he can get women, right?
And women,
someone,
that's basically that.
Just to sleep with women. And someone had commented on that and said that this guy came into the conversation zero, ended up on a negative, like something like that. Like he basically just destroyed destroyed every shred of dignity that the man
ego had. Yeah. The way usually people call in this guy, people like, I've forgotten what his name is, like people call in to like take advice to be better. Like young men call this guy to take advice to like be better. Basically take advice on how to get girls, more or less. And then he tries to like rate them, their looks, what he thinks they can improve. But the way he does it is like he shreds them apart. Like it's like oh, look at you, 5'4" foot. Look at you look like just talking down on them, just in the bid to like I don't know what the goal is. People call in and pay. You actually pay to. I think you pay or something, right? So let me try. I mean, yeah, you can keep talking while I try to find this guy.
I mean, such a bubble. People call into this.
Yes, Michael, you are in such a bubble. And this is also the thing. The men that are in it, they sincerely believe that women are the source of their problems. Like they sincerely believe that a woman getting a job, a woman being a feminist, and they've been attributed violence to these conversations. You see like men commenting on that women's post and calling them I could not pronounce that well, but WHORAS, calling them names for just being women, for just existing for whatever reason. And so women have now become unsafe in like a lot of ways because these men are taught that they should be able to get whatever they want. On the masculine side, they've become a form of hierarchy. So we have the alpha male, the beta male, so how to be an alpha male, like how to be at the top of the wall, how to be lead the pack, kind of thing. Like, and I'm not kidding. I'm not bringing up this.
No, I heard about alpha male. I didn't know that there were beta males and everything.
Yeah, there is.
There are different grades of male.
Alpha, beta.
Then I can agreed upon. Like a beta male according to who now? Like
so this is where it then comes into masculinity, because they are saying that your ability to meet these quotas on these things makes you a man, makes you an alpha male, makes you so if you look a certain way, you have a couple of figures in your accounts, you can pull whatever woman you want, alpha male. If you are struggling to meet those things, they're probably beta, Sapphire, Sigma, whatever those things are called. I don't even know at this point. Right?
Amazing.
Yes, they are hierarchy to it.
Okay.
Then it's like, we're talking about the manosphere, we're talking about this thing, and these guys are the ones that, unfortunately, social media thrives on engagements, whatever, and so they get the most platform. They get like a lot of attention. I mean, if you look at, you would have seen some of this content, like we're talking about initially, where we're talking about like how some of these guys are teaching some form of self-optimization. And so they are teaching that, you need to be better. You need to do this. Now, if you look at those contents in and of themselves, like if you take it separately, like a 30 seconds bit or 1 minute bit, they are not harmless. But once you bring the entire picture together,
maybe that's why I'm lost. I do see some podcast snippets, and I'm just like, this is productivity tip, which is something I could say. It's like a career advice or something, and I just let it slide. But now that I'm understanding that it is in the context of getting, I really don't understand. Like, so I actually do now. You know what I'm saying? I don't understand. So let's look at the alpha, beta, and sigma. I think you said sigma again, which is just wild. Sigma.
There's sigma.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I mean, maybe, I don't know if you want to share this or just, But this guy basically like explained what this guy is.
Please do.
Would that dude that we're talking about is?
Oh yeah. You probably. Oh, you found him.
Yeah, I mean, I found someone that sort of like described him and showed some sympathy.
These are the funniest.
Can you hear that? Can you hear the audio?
Yes, I can. Yes, you can hear the audio.
Okay.
X Fearless moments on call compilation. So for those of you who don't know, this guy, Fit X Fearless, buff black dude, kind of just looks.
Yeah, so that's the guy. Yeah.
Gives these men advice on how they can improve their look in their dating life.
Yeah, sometimes it's helpful and sometimes it's full on roasting. It's entertaining at the end of the day.
Well, let's see.
She just cheated on me like out the blue with her boss. Like real talk, she got the dude name tatted on her and showed it to me.
Wait a minute. You were dating his job for how long?
Almost 8 months.
That was your actual girlfriend?
Yes. She just got tired of me, I guess.
So what was the transition? She just like said, I don't want to do this anymore? Or she told you she cheated?
She didn't tell me she cheated. I just knew because how she get
so Michael, context, like people call in like this, right? So this guy's show like this. And then they basically just tell him shit like this.
Your girlfriend of 8 months had a tattoo of a dude's name on her.
Yo, I gonna like me up for a minute. Like, I was hurt.
So, okay, was it the tattoo on that you seen first, or was it the relationship ended and you seen the tattoo on?
Kind of the relationship ended a little bit. Like, she kind of getting distant, not following me as much. Like,
I think. Okay, yeah, this is the one. This is a perfect example of what his videos look like.
Okay.
Like, oh, I could picture us together.
If you got like bad hairlines in general.
If you got a bad hairline, the good thing to do is not to leave it and it looks worse. So you're gonna have to either cut that off or get a hair transplant ASAP.
Can you? Did you speed it up?
Yeah.
No, let's speed it up.
No, they don't need to speed it. Where are we rushing to? Might as well.
Go back. Let Michael feel the
Manosphere.
gravity of that.
Okay.
Go back. Let him see it. Like this is a
Bad hairline.
And it's young guys that call into it, but yeah.
First of all, what the is going on with your hairline?
Yeah, something like that.
You got like bad hairlines in general.
If you got a bad hairline, the good thing to do is not to leave it and it looks worse. So you're gonna have to either cut that off or go get a hair transplant ASAP.
So it's like this particular advice isn't particularly a bad advice. Like if I mean we've probably also like if you have like receding hairline or something, maybe cut it off, right? Like Samuel, or like use a cap like me, right? Or like basically do something about it. But it's more like to what end, right? I think that's always the problem. Like to what end? Like it's the same thing you said about these productivity things, right? It's like sure, productivity, try to read, try to make more money, but to what end? If the end is to like show people or show girls and bad girls and so that you can sleep with all the girls that you want to sleep with, I think there's a problem there, but let's see anyways.
There was a guy. Sorry, before you play.
Something to do like
yeah.
There was a guy that he said that he made this guy go do an entire photo shoot just so he can get more likes on Hinge, so that he can get more women to sleep with.
So it's not like these guys don't particularly push stability, or more like push get someone to date long term or all those kind. It's more like what can you do to optimize yourself to use women? And I think that's really the problem, right? It's you can give the same advice, but like to what end? Do you get? So I think that's really the problem.
Like what I also don't understand is that, I mean, I guess it's surprising, right? The kind of people that people look up to, because it's like, what exactly am I looking up to in this guy? Like I don't know if you get
the fact that he gets ladies is what people look up to.
That's the thing. Do I even know if he gets ladies, or he just tells me he gets ladies?
That's
you believe it.
Yeah.
It's like I feel like fundamentally, and Sammy and I have talked about this before, there's obviously a lack of male role models, and also like there's a lack of individual thought. Like people can't, like, influence is a very big thing in our day. Like it's so very big now. Like I could, like it's bigger than it used to be, basically, such that you could prop up an image of yourself, and just because of that, people start listening to you, and they don't really doubt anything that you're saying. Like if I see this guy could be on the train to London tomorrow. Like it looks like a random guy to me that has hair and good skin, or maybe the camera, and he has like abs and muscles and stuff. He's wearing a black singlet. It looks like he's giving sorry. It's giving very dark man. I be whatever. Like it's like it's like the bar is so low now for people to pick their models. Like if before there used to be okay, you've done this, you've achieved this,
You've
then
achieved something with your
like when people are mentioning your name, your parents are like, oh, be like this person, grow up to be like this person, and everything. It's like you could put up an image now on social media, and then people start listening to you. Like this guy, for example. Now, my first question would be, what happens to the concept of friendship? If I have a problem, I'm sending it to the group. I'm not calling some random guy on and if you get what I'm saying, like what happened to friendship? What happened to your it's like a lot of things are so messed up that there's a gap, there's a vacuum, and people like this guy are filling that vacuum. They get it. Because it is like, what do you even mean by okay, you should go get a hair transplant just like that? Like, it looks like it's $20.
Exactly.
And if you look at it fundamentally, you might realize that this guy's problem, the least of his problem is probably, it's also like, the problem is even foundational. Why do you want to be just getting women just so you can sleep with them? That's the problem. To the point where you now even want to call up to an online service to get advice from a random dude who claims that he has been doing the same. Israel could prop up a camera right now, wear this same black singlet, put his MacBook behind him or something. Like, you could do this exact same thing and say you are packing women. And like nobody would know. It's like, and he looks so young and so naive. I mean, this guy. And it's also like,
that's the thing.
On the other side of where he's probably going to get good advice is the places that the Manosphere has demonized. So, for example, now, he probably won't watch, and I'm using Ali a lot because he comes to mind. He probably won't watch Ali Abdal because Ali doesn't have all the muscles.
Ali doesn't
berate women. And the funny thing that, okay, but Ali has a good career, he has money, he has a wife. All of those things don't appeal. It has to be, it's I don't know.
There's a form of toxicity.
It's so sad to watch.
Yes, there's a form of toxicity that the Manosphere. Israel, can you close? Yeah, thank you. I was about to say, can you close him up? There's a kind of toxicity that the Manosphere pushes for that only it's a picture of like only men that are getting every good thing in life. The women, the money. They are the only ones that can have that kind of toxicity. If you watch someone like Andrew Tate, it talks like he has the world on his finger. Like this confidence that comes with it, right?
What does he have? Let's analyze that. What does he have?
I don't know.
No, I'm not even being rhetoric. Like, I'm assuming he has followers.
He has followers. He has money. Which there are like stories on how we got it with like sex trafficking and stuff. He's been to jail. He's been arrested and jailed. Maybe like multiple times.
He just got back to the US.
He was just able to travel back to the US because he was stuck in the country. I think it also like boils down to something that you and I were talking about that day after Samuel dropped off, that there are some things that are similarly appealing. So we're talking about these are like pursuing long distance relationship versus just sleeping around. And it's also like you ask yourself that if they're, and I was making this example to Michael, that if they are reading your autobiography, do you want to, or they are reading your biography, do you want to be like, what you want on your resume, like on your resume of life, that, oh, this is Michael, he lived a good life, slept with 2,000 women. Is that something to be particularly proud of, right? Or instead of like, this is Michael, he gave this much to help these people, he started this thing, he wrote this number of books, his books got 100 million. It's more like, who do you want to be, like J.K. Rowling or Andrew Tate, right? And I think when people ask themselves this, and it's also like now people just don't know what they want to, like what the good things. I mean, if you ask these people, they will say they want to be Andrew Tate. Do you get, right? And I think that's because we've lost what really matters, what really values. And like we've said, like there's this lack of good role models, or what a role model is supposed to look like what you're supposed to aspire for. Like, I don't think people even know what they are supposed to aspire for now, right? And it's just sad, but I mean, maybe someone wants to, because I am just lost anyways.
So can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
When you say, for example, that So there's something you said earlier that men eat women, women eat men. That's the order of the day. And there's something fundamentally wrong about that. And that's part of the problem. So, for example, I remember clearly that one of the things I usually love about, and I still do, about Chimamanda, when she started talking about feminism like a very long time ago, is the fact that we need to teach our boys feminism as well, not just women. Like, it's not a woman thing. Like, we
Yes.
can't achieve gender equality in a vacuum.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get it? It's like there's
Yes.
literally another side of the coin that you need to talk about as well. And the funny thing is that's the era of that has gone now. We're now in the era of damn you too on Twitter and everything. And the problem with that is that what we're saying, for example, that do you want to be J.K. Rowling? They don't. Like these people, and
That's
it's
the thing, yeah.
it's all the fact that she's already a woman. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
Now the other thing is that they don't just even want to maybe follow a man. They need to follow a man. Which is why I've been asking that when people say, oh, you know what it means to be a man? Like, what does it mean to be a man? Like,
A man,
what is the whole definition of like be a man? By the time you break it down, they'll say, oh, you need to have money. So that's a human thing. That is survival thing. Like, people should
Adult
have
thing.
money.
That's an adult thing. An adult should have money, yeah.
You get like by the time they all bring the whole thing down, you realize that it's usually like empty. And I think fundamentally there's already something wrong with the way we are bringing up people, like children. It's also part of what's going on. You see, America is always banning books and everything. It's also everything results in a society like this that does not make sense. Do you get it? Because it is like let people go from primary school to secondary school, let them read all those books, let them learn social studies, civic education, all of those things. Let them progress to university, let them keep learning all of those things. And then hopefully, like, let them be able to come online and see a replica of that same knowledge. Because it's like this is not what we learned in school. All of these things is not what we learned.
And I think, and this is also the thing. I think probably they are still teaching kids. Like if you go to schools, they are probably still teaching them the same things, like social studies, like some of this. But it's also like what these kids learn now is mostly online.
They're stronger influences
online. The stronger influences are online. Like so they can't even try to strive to achieve something because it's the same thing with women. Like you want to be like Kim Kardashian, and it's like, how did Kim Kardashian become popular? By basically doing sex videos, and then she's speaking at Harvard MBA. And it's also like it's this kind of people that our schools are now beginning to esteem because that's what sells, right? You take Kim Kardashian to come and speak at, it's like where have we gotten to? Do you get it? It's like, what is going on, right?
I want to quickly say something, you were making like really, really solid point. I really love it. There was something you said, Michael, about our feminism, and now we need to start teaching ourselves at the kids something different because it's not a one.
Anyway, that was said in 2013.
The world is already gone to shit.
So this is the problem, right? First of all, I realized that there is a cultural influence on how feminism is interpreted to different people, right?
Yeah.
So, for example, in Nigeria, there was a time when the idea of feminism, the fight for feminism, was about don't kneel down to serve your husband food, don't wash plates. Like I'm not going to wash plates in my husband's house. I'm not going to. In the same vein, we were hearing story of a woman that burnt herself in front of a stadium because they don't allow women watch football, right?
Yeah.
In the same vein, like now, for example, in Mexico, every International Women's Day, there's a protest to like protest against femicide because a lot of women do, and it's a whole thing. Every International Women's Day, like a lot of whatever. And I remember that a friend of mine once told me that she did not think that a man can be a feminist because, and I mean, then I was like, what do you mean? But now I guess it because it means that men have come to represent something that for our feminism doesn't. And so it's like I cannot associate myself with an institution, man or masculinity, that represents this form of violence towards me. So it's like we have a lot of learnings and unlearnings we need to do as a society, but it feels like we are so deep entrenched into social media has given this kind of toxic content so much energy. like so much rocket fuel that it's gotten to like a really weird place. And so what happens is that women are now beginning to speak their own stuff. Like there was one time I saw online and I was like, I actually felt like I was a victim to red pill, but it wasn't even red pill from like this manosphere thingy, but not even from a masculine perspective. I was seeing the content that women were pushing out, and I was infuriated every single time. I was like, why would you post this? Why would you say this? Like, why are you coming to
I think it's like I said, the way men preach a thread now against women is the same way feminism has now become preaching a thread against men, right? But you see some content on TikTok and it's just like hatred, it's just pure hatred. And it's just like, don't you guys have brothers? Don't you guys have fathers? I mean, it's all you can't say it's not feminist because they call it. It's like
no. Do you know why you
because,
can say
for example,
wait, Israel. The reason why you can say it's not feminism is because there are people right now who are creating extreme activities in the name of Christianity.
Yeah, I know you've made I know you've made that analogy before.
Same thing with like Islam and everything. The moment you refuse to make that difference, that means you mean my neighbor in Uboma Shadadi now is also part of those people who are doing whatever it is that is being done. It doesn't like there's no need for things to be black and white. Like it doesn't have to be either this or not.
Exactly.
We can in one breath say that this is what feminism is. This is what feminism is supposed to be. There are people who are pushing out messages in the name of feminism. This is not what feminism supports. You know, I'd be like, oh, who are you to determine what feminism supports? There's a dictionary meaning for it. There's no need for. I'm not the one making the rules. Do you get it? So it's like we can have that. It doesn't have. It's not a yes or no thing. Like it can be a discourse. I'm very careful to make sure that like I don't fall into that trap because it's like the reason why it is that way is because the algorithm is pushing extremes. As someone who's scrolling, you need to be conscious of that. Like what they are pushing to you is not it's the extremes. So there are people in the middle that you will never see. In fact, more people are more in the middle than they are extreme.
That's the thing. That's the thing. There are more people that are in the middle. But those kind of people, number one, probably are not talking about it more. But also, like Twitter, like social media is also probably not going to push them because they won't.
When guys now in the manosphere see the extreme content about men eating and everything, they would say, "Oh, this is why feminism is the problem." And it's like this is why we require you to be able to think and understand that the algorithm is pushing something. For example, I see content that maybe, you know, when the climate change activism was at its peak during Trump's first there were people that were like, it's like a massive climate change. Like everybody was now interested in climate change and everything. And then there are people that are like, oh, climate change is a scam and everything. But you know the funny thing, most people are actually in the middle in the sense that, oh, if you tell us to recycle, as long as you make it available, we'll recycle.
Exactly.
They are not carrying placards. They are not writing articles about in support of climate change. At the same time, they are not saying climate change is not existing. They're just like
whatever you are saying, like they
are neutral. And I feel like most people in the world are like that in most cases, even when it comes to like feminism and the likes. So it is like the algorithm will push to you, for example, Israel, because obviously you fit into the content of you're a man and everything. You see more of the men eating content. And that will now
but here's the thing, right? It's like if more people are seeing more of the men eating content or women eating content, it means it's going to, if you're not very careful or if you're not a critical thinker, which a lot of people also are not, because people are not going about thinking like,
how do I question this?
How do I question whatever? People are just living, which means you also just ingest that, which leads to more people being on the different extreme, which is what we're having now. It's like, it might be before that most people are not on the extreme, but people are. It's the same thing that we have with with politics now. You will hardly find someone that is a centrist. Most people are like either extreme right, or extreme left. And if you are a centrist to an extreme right, you are bad. To the extreme left, you are also bad. And you're just like, so that means the world is now tilting towards you have to pick a side. Do you get? And
most
people don't have the willpower to not pick a side, because I think the way humans work is like we try to optimize for the easiest thing that just will make us live in life.
What you just said now is actually what I was going to say, which is why I don't actually believe that more people are more like dedicated to side and than the way before or whatever.
Okay.
You know why? I feel like okay, when you break something down to somebody now, all these people that say, like, okay, look at this. So there's people who say, women should not clinical and everything. But then when you make this, which is also like a conversation that doesn't even, but let's just allow it. When you now say, what about your sister something? Then their principles will shake. And like, but you said
no, now it's bad. Principles don't even shake, even if in and relationship.
Wait, Samuel, you if you keep pushing, you will press the button that will touch that person. The reason why I'm saying that is because, to purchase Israel's point, a lot of people are not really as ideological as they think they are. Like, they don't fundamentally believe in an ideology. They don't. Like, it's like they don't fundamentally believe in an ideology. They've not. A lot of people that, for example, you say, how many? You believe this? Okay, why? Do you know what it means? Do you know the origin? They don't really like.
But what I'm saying is that people are getting there. I think you are speaking from like where you are becoming so ideological that people are making death threats to women. Men are making death threats, and sometimes following up on it. Almost following up on it, up to the point of like stalking.
Do you think this is new? Do you think this is new? Or do you think
it's not new, but I'm saying it's not new. I'm saying it's not about being aware. It's becoming more common. It's not a new thing, right? But it's like more people are now getting into that space. Now it's like you don't want to be called an incel, so you have to start doing something. Like, for example, I go out to like when I go out to parties and stuff. So there was a day I was legit texting Samuel. There was a day that I went out, and this girl had to come to me because there was these guys that were basically like harassing her, and I looked like the most reasonable person, and she stayed with me for the rest of the night while we were at that party. Do you get like we even like funny things like they even offered me a ride, like and it has come to that point where people like it's just more people are now becoming bold. Like the one that I know, more men are now becoming bold to like touch women anyhow. Obviously, it's a thing that women get harassed on the road and they get touched. That is not a new thing, right? But it's like more people. It's increasing. Do you get?
Let me
and it's becoming a menace. It's becoming a problem. So I'm not saying that these things don't exist before. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that more people are doing it. More people are becoming more ideological. And it's like the more you listen to all these manosphere people, they give you reasons and reasons. Even if you yourself have not thought about those reasons, they give you those reasons to reinforce. So it's not just that people are telling you that, oh, women are trash, men are trash. They now begin to give you reasons that this is why women are trash, this is why men are trash, which reinforces what you're saying.
I feel like you're missing something. Like that. For example, now what you're basically saying is that there's an increase in, and I'm not trivializing it, sexual abuse, sexual harassment at a more pronounced scale. I'm not blind. I agree with that 100%. I think what I was trying to talk about is that the conversation we're talking about with ideology is with feminism and the other one. What's the name of the other
Manosphere or something?
So it's like we were trying to say that feminism has become this. Then someone was trying to say that there's a name for what that is. It is not feminism. That's what I'm trying to say, that a lot of people that probably you see that they are doing this and they say they call themselves feminists. I understand that it's a slippery slope in the sense that you can hold on to an ideology, but it is the actions of the people that belong to the ideology that would use to judge the ideology. Do you get it? You can't keep saying,
there was a rebuttal just to probably tie that end. There was a rebuttal that I made for that, right? And so you usually compare it to something like Islam or something like the
any
Bible
ideology that you can find.
Any ideology, actually,
So I'm saying that, for example, take something like Christian. People will still interpret it however they want to interpret, but there's like a guidebook, right? But there's not necessarily a guidebook for feminism. And I think it becomes a point of like majority decide what that means, and I think that's why we have things of like different ways of. Tell me, yeah.
The other words that you are talking about, there's words for them. Like use those words. Like there's no need to bring it.
Yeah.
Like there are words for those other things. Like for example, if there's what you call murder, there's what you call manslaughter. They mean two different things. There's no need to, in the bid to make things more aggravated. People say, "Oh, I'm feminist." There's a word for what you're trying to describe. Like there's no need to. It's like there are ideologies that we have.
But here's the thing. Here's what I would say is that, and this we can extrapolate this to any ideology.
Yeah, go ahead.
A word is more like what people have agreed for it to mean. Do you get? There are words that have changed meanings over time, right?
Yeah.
Like
this one hasn't.
I'm saying it's on the path of getting changed.
No, they're not getting.
Do you get? Yeah.
No, this is why I don't think it is.
Michael,
I think it is.
Wait.
But I'm saying it's getting to that point where that whatever that word you're looking for is becoming what feminism is.
No. See. Then I'll paint an example for you, and this is a conversation. Yeah. Remember when we talk about the war against immigrants, right?
Okay.
When we're talking about how we're warring against immigrants. We know what immigrants are, right?
Okay.
We say immigrants are people that move from one country, their country to a different country, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
But then the moment you start making a conversation or making political statements, and you keep bringing in negative light now, and you keep bringing the same word into that light, people begin to mix both together and say, this is it. Right? So an example is they are eating the dogs, they are eating the cats, immigrant, bam, put it together, right? They are robbing, they are raping, immigrant, bam, put it together.
Okay.
They are taking our jobs, stealing our jobs, put it together. Like jobs that were not even there for you in the first place, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You bring all of those things, you make it seem like this person, this group of people are the same problem. Now, what do we call people that go out and rape and kill people?
No.
But
Okay, that example doesn't work because
work.
So what I would say is that one person can have different adjectives, right?
Okay.
But they're in themselves though. They are like, it's not those adjectives are not
like a rapist can be like I'm saying that a thief can be an immigrant or not an immigrant.
Yeah, there can be a feminist that also hates women, men. That doesn't change anything.
But I'm saying that they still call themselves a feminist, and it's also like when
immigrants not call himself a rapist now.
But I'm saying
the word still means what it means.
It still means what.
And what does it mean? What does it mean?
So it is a fight for equality. Check your dictionary. Like there's no need to whatever word you're looking for, whatever you're trying to.
Yeah.
The reason why this is important is because you can't fall victim for that extreme messaging. It's like the moments you do, you also like it's just another pack to the zombie army. It is like these words exist for a reason. People when climate change was a thing, they basically rubbished climate change because of their ulterior motive. It's climate change. Can we not see it? Like when we were in Lagos, we knew something was wrong with Harmattan. Like nobody had to tell us. But because they wanted to, they get it, like destroy the entire thing. They rubbished that entire this thing. Now it feels like when you say, I believe in climate change, people are like, oh, you're a climate, or like you now become a thing. I feel like there's this potential to lump things into like black and white. Oh, you can't be an immigrant and then you are also a criminal. If you are, that means immigrants are criminals. No, like these things are relative. You can't just, it's not a yes or no thing. You get it? Are there feminists who are feminists that don't like hate men and understand what is going on? Yes. Are there feminists that also hate men? Yes. Are there feminists that don't even like all of those things can exist? Are there Christians?
Yes.
Like we get like all of those things exist on a plane. So there's no need to say, oh, because this is this, then this is this. I feel like conversations like this and what people have on Twitter, on YouTube, everywhere, is contributing constantly to that thing. Is it possible that the word feminism would evolve to the point that it would mean something else in the future? Yes. Yeah. But constantly reinforcing that is also contributing to that change, which is obviously not a positive thing that you want. Feminism is so important that like gender equality is so important that a lot of things that we are benefiting from, even as men or even like as women, is based off that particular like fight for women's rights and everything. It's very important that like anytime that word is being said and people are trying to say, oh, feminism now means this, you can clarify it for them. It's a long conversation to have because people are like, but are these feminists that hate women? Yes, like let's have that conversation. Like people say things like, oh, pastors are, you know, people that don't like Christianity on Twitter too. They're like, oh, all these Nigerian pastors are fraudsters. They can be Nigerian pastors that is a fraudster. Yes. They can also be like, oh, people say things, for example, look at that conversation about God's love is conditional. Can you send it to hell? One yes or no thing. Those kind of things are like conversations. People are short attention span. They want to quickly move on to the next thing and everything. So it makes it difficult, and people just throw clickbait. Feminist woman does this. Feminist man does this. Feminist man does this. Yoruba people, Ronu. Like,
yes.
Yeah, I'm Yoruba person, so I don't support Tinubu. Igbo people are business people. Igbo people they will steal your land. Outside people are illiterate. Like, I don't know if you get what I mean. Like,
it's a form of great bait in itself. And then when you think about it, like I was sharing my screen earlier where I was trying to show in the definition, right? It's like they are.
I guess the whole point is like we should not try to change the definition of things and more like associate
the word exists.
People's attributes to what it really is.
I would even say that we need to acknowledge that in these conversations there are excesses and they can be excesses, but we should not in a way like soil the pot as it were because we are trying to lump everyone.
More like we should not yield to the excesses and still try to bring everybody back to what it is supposed to be. What the real fight, so what the fight is supposed to be. I guess.
And it's also like
that's what it is. It's what it is.
It's possible to have like
whatever.
A feminist can be a bad person. A feminist can be a good person. A feminist can be an idiot. A feminist can be a fool. A feminist can be intelligent. A feminist can be poor. A feminist can be abusive. They can be rude. They can be whatever. Like there are people who believe in an ideology or they are like a minority. It does not make them good. It just means they believe in this ideology. What is good is the ideology.
It's the ideology.
Human beings would fade away. Like it is those ideologies that would remain. Democracy means something. In Nigeria, it is destroyed. But democracy means something. We need to constantly say that democracy, like this is what democracy means. Not that definition of democracy is changing. No, there's autocracy. Do you get it? There's dictatorship, there's Tinubuism, whatever it is that we're doing in the country. Do you get it? But like we can quickly say that okay, democracy exists so that people don't get to social study class and then that's an example of democracy, Tinubu. Do you get it? Like let us not use what is not as do you get it? That it's very very important, or else we'll just fall into that algorithm, clickbait, all of those things and everything.
And so in a system where you see this conscious, like it's an intentional thing where they are trying to give you an enemy. So for example, we're talking about the Manosphere, right? They would not tell you that the government policy that was created by men to favor some men is what is bringing you down, what messed up your stuff. They won't tell you that the private equity firms that are buying the house, like buying properties and like I don't know, let me not say private equity, but the companies that are buying up properties and inflating the cost of getting properties are the ones is it properties or properties?
Don't worry, just go ahead. Whatever like
I was like, but like they won't tell you that that's the problem. They will blame it on the fact that a fellow discriminated group is what is holding you down. Right? And like you were saying, any system that discriminates against one group would definitely in some way discriminate against every group. Classism, racism, whatever system you want to call it, it will find a way to affect those that it was supposed to protect. Right? And so like Michael was saying, feminism is supposed to be a fight to protect women and say, okay, on the basis of rights, on the basis of I should not be discriminated for, or even given privileges on the basis of what I am. Or at least what gender I am, right? I don't know if it's gender or sex. But it shouldn't be that case, right? A fairness and equality based on what I'm bringing to the table. That's what the convention is about. But then they begin to paint a picture that, the reason why you're not getting this or you're not getting this benefit is because of the women. Women are doing this, women are doing that. And the same way, men now begin to express this anger in ways like domestic violence, sexual violence, right? And then men, and the problem then, this is where it now leads up, like, which affects me. Men becomes a problem not just for women, but also for men. I told you guys about the example of when I went to pick up restaurant and the guy threatened to shoot me. Right? He did that. Why? Because he was trying to talk to the girls behind me. He was trying to get some kind of rep with the girls behind me, making them uncomfortable and making me uncomfortable. You're not going to bend me over. Like, we're not having sex. You know, it's not going to happen. But because you want to have sex with some girls, you make them unsafe. You make weird comments to them, and then make me unsafe.
You wanted to prove that it was the man,
alpha male.
Yeah.
So you were a victim of. So in that instance, you yourself were a victim. Even though you're a man, you become. It's also like there's something about what you said about the fact that they want to give you an enemy. I'm very conscious these days because we are living in 1984 Israel. I'm very conscious these days to not fall for a lot of things that you see online, and it's not just things like this. For example, as I was scrolling through Twitter, and then I see these things about the US has abandoned, and I'm just going to say the way. I mean, as someone who's not in the US, I'm not an American.
Okay, so first of all, be careful. I cannot get deported. Be careful.
Oh, sorry. No, I'll say it's right. Has abandoned some astronauts in space during Joe Biden's time. Thanks to Elon Musk, he's bringing them home. All of these things. Yeah. And I was like, I mean, good to know, right? I mean, I don't really care about American politics. But then I read some things like the New Yorker, and then I read the New Yorker, and then they were doing this paper where they're trying to analyze that fact that actually, this were already coming home before, like, so their flight home was already scheduled before Trump became president in January. Like, this is just a publicity stunt and everything. The funny thing is that a lot of people would fall for that first one because it is more catchy. It is more, and it also like
it gives you an enemy. I think that's also something like people need an enemy.
And it makes people riled up and everything. And what some of the reasons why people go to all these Eastern European countries and South Eastern countries that are very small, where people are just living new life and they're like, hey, these people are dull. It's because those people don't have all those things. Like the way America, North America, in the UK, all those, like, there's this rage. It's like everybody is in like rage. Because they're like, Biden should be removed. Why didn't he?
And I think that boils down to one of the points that I said, that now it's like everybody is now moving to the extreme because everybody, you need someone that you think is entirely different from you to make them an enemy. For example, say you're like, oh, I actually support equal pay, but I don't support this thing. I think this about immigration, and which is what a lot of, like you said, which is probably what a lot of people are like. Okay, so I was watching this video that most people don't have, like, conservative party. They don't believe, like, if you ask them, they don't believe everything. And it's the same thing. But now it's like, I have to call myself, but it's also like, when I call myself that, oh, I'm a conservative, you're already thinking, oh, it's Donald Trump. Do you get? And it's like not necessarily. I'm only here for like two things. Do you get? And I think this is person that can do two things better than, and this is what I think we need, that kind of thing, right? And I think, but people need an enemy, right? People need someone, and I think probably one of the solutions is that, like, I think people just need to go out and talk to real people. Yes, that's what I think. I think people need to talk to real people, and because it's like when you go outside. So, for example, you're online, you see, if you're like a Liberal Party member, like say you support, or you don't even support everything the Liberal Parties, but let's say you just like support something about Liberal Party, you keep just seeing content from the Liberal Party saying, oh, Trudeau is bad. Trudeau is Liberal, by the way. So it's like, oh, Trudeau is bad. Pierre Poilievre is bad. And you go outside, and I can't actually remember how many times I've discussed politics with people outside, because people are not actively thinking about, like, people that are even Canadians, they're like, oh, who is contesting now? Like, people are not actively trying to fight about that thing.
That's legit what I'm trying to say about the fact that reality is so much more like calmer. For example, there are times when you go out, you are on the internet, right? And it looks like the entire world is talking about one thing.
Yeah.
And then you step outside and realize that
And then, like, they don't even know
things are
about it.
moving,
Like, people
the
don't
buses
even know
are
about
moving,
it.
the trains
Yeah.
are moving, people are
Yeah.
watching the signboard on the door, people
Yeah.
are like, things are just going on normally. Like, and there was an earthquake in, I don't know if you guys saw it, I think in
In
Malaysia
Thailand.
or something, in
Yeah,
Thailand.
Thailand and Myanmar and
And,
Thailand, yeah.
and, and I was like, oh, everybody's talking about this and everything. But the moment I saw one and I engaged it, my entire TM was
Yeah.
filled with that. I know the funny thing, that's terrible and everything, right? But yesterday when I went out, it's like, okay, the world is still moving on. And it's like, that's
Yeah.
literally how it is with a lot of things. American politics itself takes up space. So American ideologies takes up space. Like, I don't know
Yeah.
if you remember when we were asking one guy, like, which is bigger, the NFL or the World Cup? And the guy is
Or
like,
the World Cup.
yeah.
Those guys, that one is even
They're
like
like,
the
oh, the
most.
NFL is just the biggest thing. You know, the Super Bowl. You know, the Super Bowl.
Yeah. It's Super Bowl and the World Cup finals. I think that was the comment. It's like,
And
what do you
they were
mean?
telling this
It's
guy,
like it's the World Cup. Like,
they
it's a
don't believe
World
us.
Cup.
To them, it is like,
let's not go
and it's
into
like,
that. But
what do you mean
the
the
thing is,
Super Bowl?
what I was gonna say, what I was gonna say is that the Western world, right? Or let me not say the Western world. I'll say like North America, for example. It's
Yeah.
quite
Or America, because it's not
America,
Canada,
yeah.
it's not Mexico, it's just the
Fair enough.
United States of America.
No,
Do you get?
this might affect Canada, but I'll just say America because I am
Israel
here.
has removed himself.
There is such an obsession to take on ideologies as an identity.
Yeah.
It's like people want to like embody, like not
And I
embody.
think so here's what I think. I think the reason for that, and I think we probably need to close up about this very soon.
Yeah.
I think the reason for that, I mean, Nietzsche said it, right? Like, about like what happens with the death of God. Do you get? Like, I think people used to have something they believed in. Like, people used to believe in God. They had a community in church or like your cathedral or whatever. But now that people don't have those, you have to believe in something. Like, I mean, the way humans are structured,
I don't think that's it.
I think it contributes to it. To be honest, I think it contributes to
They
it.
are building,
I think
they are
it does
building
contribute.
ideologies around the faiths that don't align with the faith.
No, it's
Right?
not about faith. I'm saying that all these things are like, you need to believe in something. It's like, it's not about Christianity. It's about the fact that people need to believe in a cause, right? People need to take a cause that they believe in, and they take that cause as
We can
sacrosanct.
discuss that in the next episode.
In the next episode, yeah. I think we need to end it.
About, to be honest, because I in a way I subscribe to. In the way I see it is that often that people always look for a messiah. So a lot of people were waiting for someone like Trump. The moment they found him, they tapped into it.
They just held him.
Yeah,
and
we can talk about that.
I mean, we can always talk about it, but one thing I was saying, it's like the problem. Anyways, don't let us get started on that. We can only talk about that.
But
That's a good one. Damn.
Thank you very much for watching. I'm just gonna.
Yeah.
I mean, okay. So let me just. I think thank you very much for watching to the end. It was an intense conversation and a very fun one. And if you probably watched it to this end, you probably already saw the technical glitches because we had technical glitches. But thank you very much for watching to this point. Let us know what you think. I think ultimately we want to know what you think. Drop a comment, drop a like. What do you think about the Manosphere and misandry and misogyny and feminism and the rise of men like Andrew Tate? And what do you think about that? Let us know what you think. Let us also know if there are things you want us to talk about. We'll be happy to talk about that. So thank you very much and see you in the next episode. Peace.